what I'm saying to you is that if you hang on to that, if you're attached to the belief that you can't do something because you've always been told that, or because you're just like your father, or you inherited that from your mother. You hear families saying this over and over again, oh, he got that from his grandfather, and oh, he got this from his great-grandmother, and all of that, that's nonsense, you know. You are what you choose to be, not what you inherit. And you've got to know in your soul that you have the capacity to be anything that you want. You are a purposeful, divine creature, and you can create anything you want for yourself in your life. The first thing you have to do is get rid of all of those self-defeating I'm old, I'm tired, I can't help it. I always tell people, look, don't let an old person move into your body. It's your body. You can do anything you want with it. And if you start walking slow, if you start stooping yourself over, and you start minimizing your energy levels and sitting around a lot, and feeling sorry for yourself and watching the world go by, before long you're going to be immobilized throughout your entire life. Don't let that old person move in. Keep yourself young and vibrant, not youthful necessarily. Be grateful for whatever age that you are, but don't take on those habits that are going to keep you from being able to do anything you want. There's no age out there. I watched Norman Vincent Peale get up in front of an audience. He's in his mid-90s, and he's got more energy than some people I know in their 20s and 30s. It's an attitude. It's a belief. This is a man who is one of the pioneers of the positive thinking movement, and his whole life has been a testament to that. And I've seen it over and over again. I also see people who are exactly the opposite. You don't have to be tired. Tiredness is a choice. Fatigue is a choice. You don't get tired when you have something pleasant to do. Your life is working when you're inspired. And being inspired means to think inspirational thoughts about yourself. A major category of erroneous zones, one that immobilizes people all over the world, is this whole business of guilt and worry. I'm guilty, and let's start with guilt. People use guilt all the time. It's amazing. It doesn't matter where you go. We were in Jamaica just a few weeks ago, my wife and all of the children, 7 children, and we were going through the various markets. There was this older woman there who had one tooth. She didn't look like she was very healthy. We sort of walked past her tent and didn't walk in. The woman said, come into my tent, come into my tent. And we just kept walking because there are 100 tents there. Finally, she started yelling at us, nobody likes me, nobody wants to come into my tent, you don't like me at all, nobody likes me, my children don't like me. And sure enough, my wife turned around and said, maybe we should go in that tent. Guilt is very effective at getting people to conform and to do what you want them to do. What is guilt? Guilt is the immobilization that comes from living in the past. It is about you. You can't be guilty about things that you're going to do. Your guilt is about things in the past. And let's distinguish right here that there's something called learning from the past, which is very valuable and very important, and there's nothing in the world wrong with it. You do something. You behave towards someone in a way that you don't like. You've done something that is inappropriate. You've made a mistake. You've dropped the ball in some way. What you say to yourself instead of, oh, I'm so terrible and I'm so awful and I'm just such a bad person, which is instantly putting a label on yourself and immobilizing you and keeping you from growing and learning from it. What you can say instead is, I am going to work even harder in this day at not behaving in those ways, and these are the things that I'm going to do. But most people don't do that. Instead, they accept guilt. And the guilt that they accept is, I am not worthy. And this is the reason that they adopt this kind of a strategy. It's because they've been taught this since the time that they were little boys and little girls. We get children to do things by making them feel guilty. Oh, all right, you don't have to carry the chairs upstairs. I'll carry them with my bad back. You just sit there and enjoy yourself. Why, I'll carry all of these card table chairs on my back and it doesn't matter. Don't worry about me. Your children or a clerk order. And if you stand there and scream back, it's just words against words, and it doesn't mean anything. But if you leave quietly, leave the room, and go into another room, you're sending a signal. I am too dignified, too valuable, and too important a person. I think too much of myself to stand here or sit here and take that kind of abuse. So I will be leaving. And you don't have to say those words, you just do it. And in every single expression where you are victimized through conversation or through words, there is a way to teach people with your behavior that you are a person who operates from strength rather than weakness. You must learn to never place anyone in your life in importance above yourself. No one. The Queen of England, the President of the United States, the generals in the armed forces, the doctors who serve you, the very rich people who live in fancy homes in the suburbs, the entertainers, the sports stars, all of these people, the movie stars, whoever these people are, they are no different than you. That's one of the great lessons I learned when I toured the country many years ago for this book, Your Erroneous Zones, and met appearing on The Tonight Show many times, and then the Dinah Shore Show and the John Davidson Show, all of these shows that were very popular at that time. I met so many of the top stars in music, entertainment, sports, and the recording industry. It was always interesting to me that none of them, these were the people that were your heroes, none of them were any better than I was. I remember what President Carter said when he was running for office. They asked him if he thought he was qualified to run for president. He said, well, I really never thought I was until I met all the other people who were running. Then I felt I was just as qualified as they were. That's always the effect it has on me when I meet somebody who's in this high position of authority. I meet them, talk with them, and find out that they have the same difficulties, the same foibles, the same problems, the same pimples, the little blemishes, and they smell bad too when they wake up in the morning. They're not any better or different than any of the rest of us. What you want to do is, in your own mind, which is where being a non-victim always takes place, of course, is teach yourself that nobody out there deserves any more accolades or any more attention or any more respect than you do. You are human. You are connected to all the rest of us through that invisible intelligence that runs through all form in the universe, that you are just as valuable. In God's eyes, no one is any better than anyone else. Know that. Know that it's not only true in God's eyes, but it's true in your eyes as well. Keep that in your mind. Then, as you operate from strength, you can try on a few of these strategies. You stop asking permission in your life. You stop seeking permission when you're speaking. Instead of saying, would you mind if I ask you a question? Say, I'd like to know if, and whatever the question may be. Instead of saying, would you mind terribly if I return this for a refund? Say, I'm bringing this back because I'm dissatisfied. You can do that respectfully, kindly, and gently. Instead of saying, is it all right, dear, if I go out for an hour? You say, I'm going out, dear. Is there anything that you'd like me to do for you while I'm out? It's a declaration versus a question of getting permission, at the idea that somebody else has to give you permission in order to live your life or do the things that you're entitled to do is not at all a case for being disrespectful to other people. It's a case for just letting the world know, and the people in it that are important to you, that you have a right to live your life without being victimized. It's as simple as that. Don't take it any further than that. When you're talking to people, if you want to operate from strength, look right into their eyes when you talk to them. When you look down and when you look from side to side, you send out a signal. The signal is, I'm not as important as you are. When you hem and haw and maybe and all of that, you are sending out a signal. The signal is, victimize me. Do whatever it is that you want to do to me, and I'm here just for that purpose. Watch your body, your posture, and your body language when you're speaking. Make a direct effort to look directly into someone's eyeballs. I do that all the time when I'm speaking to people. I speak in large audiences. When I'm through, people will come up to me, and I try to always make direct eye contact with that person. It's the window to the soul. If you don't do that, you're sending out a signal. If someone asks you for a loan or asks you to do something that you don't want to do, like serve on a committee you don't want to serve on, instead of beating around the bush and playing the victim game, knowing that eventually by saying maybe and I'm not sure and call me in a week and all of that, you know that eventually they're going to get you. An easy way to handle that is 2 simple letters, N-O, right off the top. No, I'm not interested in that. Thank you for considering me. Then, when they come back with all the reasons why you should be doing what they think you should do and that you don't want to do, your response is, I guess you just didn't hear what I said. Perhaps you didn't hear me when I said that I didn't want to do that, and never veer from that stance. it becomes like a wonderful game that you're playing. You know what their game plan is. Their game plan is to get you to do something that you don't want to do, or to loan you some money when you don't want to loan it because you know they're not good for it or whatever it may be. You know what their game plan is.